YouTube family, it's your girl Leah, back again with another video, and as you can see, it is another foundation review Friday. I don't know why I have to do a movement when I say foundation review Friday, but that's just how I do. As you can see from the title, today's foundation is the MAC Studio Fluid Foundation. Now, if you guys are familiar with makeup in any way, in any capacity, this foundation is nothing new to you. As I said in my Lancome Tint Idole Ultra video, that was the first high-end foundation that was ever purchased for me, but this was the first high-end, as I call it, foundation that I ever spent my own money on, my own coins, so many years ago. Of course, not this bottle. I've gone through so many bottles of this. So, as you can tell from this video, it is not a first impression. Of course, if you guys are familiar with my foundation reviews, I wear foundation Monday through Friday throughout an entire work week and come on here at the end of the week on Saturday and film for you guys my thoughts. If you're not familiar with my skin, I have very, very dry skin. If you're not familiar with my shade complexion, I have every foundation that I've tried throughout this series listed down below in the description box for you guys if you guys need it. So if there's any questions you have, is this a match, is this a shade match for me, that's down there for you guys to check out. But so many people use MAC shades as their equivalency. So many people say I'm a MAC NC45 for reference, MAC NC42 for reference. They use MAC for reference so often. As you guys know, I type my notes up, so I'll be looking down at my notes for reference on some of the things I'm talking about today. So in terms of price, it is $29. I swear to you, when I bought this, it was $28. I swear it's gone up since I checked the site yesterday. I was like, I know it was $28, but MAC be playing games. Maybe it's always been $29. It's just me. There are 42 shades, so a lot of shades. Not that they started out, I know back when I first bought MAC, they didn't have 42 shades, but now they're up to 42. At minimal, there's 12 shades darker than my shade, so that's good to know, good to have. Sometimes I get shades in this foundation review series and there's one shade darker, especially in the drugstore, but 12 shades darker, that's a plus. The site says an oil controlling formula that offers a matte finish with medium to full coverage. Now, this is how the bottle looks. As you can see, mine has a pump. This pump has been used by me for several years. It doesn't really work that well anymore. The pump really doesn't go down, but you have to buy the pump separately. It doesn't come with it, but you can use this pump for Estee Lauder Double Wear, as well as this MAC, since MAC and Estee Lauder are owned by the same company. So this is how it looks first applied. As you can see, or I hope it's picking up on camera because I can definitely see it in real life, it has an orangey tone to it. It reads off a little bit more on the orangey kind of red tone, if that makes sense. During the summer, it looked gorgeous on me with this little bit of orangeness coming through. Now, as we go into winter, this may be a little bit too warm for my skin right now, but I would have to say, if it's coming off on camera, I still have that little bit of summerness left in me, a little bit of that tan left in me. It's looking really good. Now, in terms of the finish, now as I say, I'm a dry skin person. This foundation does not claim to be, you know, amazing for dry skin. It doesn't say what skin type it's for, but it doesn't claim to be. And I say it doesn't claim to be dry skin or say it's for dry skin because it dries down to a powder finish. So this is a fluid to powder foundation. I didn't find that out until, you know, later years in life. I didn't know what kind of skin type I had when I was younger. When I was buying foundation, I was like, MAC Studio Fluid, that's all we kind of got. Now that I'm older and I know that some foundations aren't for dry skin people, some aren't for oily, I think that drying down to powder finish isn't the best thing for us dry skin people, but I'll let you know, my full thoughts at the end. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply the rest of my makeup, and I'll come back with my further thoughts on this foundation, so stay tuned. So now I am back. It's actually been about 4.5 hours since I just saw you guys last. I got caught up in my day. I applied the rest of my face. My friend from DC came down to visit and we chatted for hours, and I was like, I gotta film my thoughts on this foundation. So this is what it looks like after a little over 4 hours of wear on me. So the shade match, like I said, is a little bit darker than me, but orangey or darker. I think if you guys look at me, like I always say, compare it to the rest of my body, it looks looks good, but this is kind of my still tanned side going on right now. If you guys look at my neck, you guys can see it's a little bit lighter. I could have brought the foundation down a little bit more to kind of blend in, but my skin has been very much so tan this year, and I love having a little tan going on. Something about it makes my melanin feel popping right now. So this is how it looks, and I'm going to give you my rundown pros and cons on this foundation. Now, I've worn it the entire week. I've worn it Monday through Friday, and the longest day I think I wore it was about 12 hours, and I have to say it did look very well at the end of the day. So I think the pros with this foundation, it's very long wearing. I also think it settles down to a very powdery matte finish, so that's a plus to you guys out there who are very oily. I think you're not gonna have to, you're gonna have to set it. You guys always say in your oily videos, I watch so many oily people who have oily skin and use a very matte foundation, and they still have to powder it down. I think you're gonna still have to powder it, but not to a great extent. I think this does an amazing job, and I think it's very much so geared towards oilier and combination skin people. Now, that's a con, of course, to me being a dry skin person. I don't want a powdery finish. That's not what I want. I want a finish that's kind of more so dewy, luminous, or natural kind of a finish. It says medium to full coverage. I think it definitely gives you a medium to full coverage. I think you can actually build this all the way up to full and look very presentable and full. I think a couple of days this week I mistakenly put on a full coverage, and I was like, why my face so beat? Why am I so beat right now? Who asked for all this beatness that's going on right now? So I think you can get a very beat full coverage with this foundation, and that's great for some people. And I know that SPF is important, so it does have SPF 15 in this foundation, so it makes it incredible for, you know, going outside and being outdoors and having that sun protection in there. I think it gives you a flawless finish. I don't think it's particularly the most lightweight foundation that I've ever had in my life. I think it does feel a little bit thicker on my face, but also it's a fuller coverage foundation. So fuller coverage foundations always kind of tend to be on the more thicker side. You're going to either have to buy a pump or you're going to have to pour. When you pour, you do end up using a lot more of the product. So that's one thing to be aware of. It does come at a $29 price point, but if you're going to buy a pump, that's a $7 additional price point. Or at least the last time I bought a pump, it was $7. It may be a little bit more. I think the shade range of this foundation is a pro. I give it that. It does have an extensive shade range. 42 shades is very good. In a world where we just got Fenty with 40 shades, 42 is up there in the same category with Fenty with having that large variety of shade ranges. So I'd say that's a good thing. I think shade match. I might be at NC44 in winter. I'm NC45 in the summer. I think they have a match for me out there. So if you're following me right now and this is looking like a good shade for you, like I said, it's a little bit darker than my neck, of course, and I should return to my winter shade slightly, but if you can see, it's a little bit darker, so I should have gone with the NC44, but it did match me perfectly. Like I said, summertime. So the question that you guys are asking, would I repurchase this foundation? Would I, Leah Levon, actually spend my money to buy this foundation over again? And I have to say, after years and years of buying it and now doing this series and realizing I have so many foundations out there that probably are more so geared towards my skin, I would have to say this is probably the last time I'll buy the MAC Studio Fix Fluid Foundation. I rocked out with this for so many years, but looking at it and seeing what it's done to my skin and how my skin reacts to it, I don't think it's a dry skin person's dream foundation. I just don't think it is. It's a powdery finish. My face feels so powdery right now, and I don't set any of my foundations with powder, but you would think I did. I feel like I did with this foundation. I think it's a long wear. You're going to get a lot of wear out of it, but I have other foundations that last long on me, and me being a dry skin person, a lot of my foundations last a long time on me. I never see myself reapplying or touching up any of my foundations just because the way my skin reacts to a lot of products. So the long wearing aspects of it doesn't thrill me, and then with the price point of it being $28, I have foundations that are fuller coverage that can do the same job that this does. I think it's very comparable to the Maybelline Fit Me foundation. If you have Maybelline Fit Me, you have a dupe for it. You have an incredible dupe for it, and I think as a dry skin person, the Maybelline Fit Me doesn't leave me as powdery as this foundation does. So I would be inclined to buy that foundation over this one. If I want a foundation that's gonna give me a full coverage, a beat cut of face, I can go for the Revlon Colorstay as a drugstore alternative to this foundation and already have that pump and pay less than like $12 for a foundation. So I think even though this is a staple, you guys know I love my MAC Face and Body, and I've seen so many people say actually mixing this with MAC Face and Body gives you kind of a natural finish, and you may actually enjoy it if you are a dry skin person. So I'm gonna try to do that in upcoming weeks and see how that kind of works out, and I'll update you in a future video on whether mixing it with MAC Face and Body gives my dry skin what it needs in terms of loving this foundation. So yes, those are my thoughts. Make sure you let me know what you think of the MAC Studio Fix foundation down below. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to me. Make sure you subscribe or join my journey. At the end of this video, I'll leave a playlist to all my foundation reviews so you can see all my thoughts on some of your favorite foundations. If I don't have your favorite in my playlist, leave it down below so I can try that as well. Make sure you're following me on Instagram at LeahLamon89. Make sure you're following me on Snapchat at MrLeah89. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.